Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya. Chaksharanmanitam mena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale. Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Tav Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Giram Itkripa Tamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam. Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, since few days we were discussing about the importance of tapasya, and we were also trying to see how what we have been given is the greatest thing. And when Krishna, when Supreme Personality of Godhead left this world, how people are taking shelter under whose guidance they are hearing, trying to understand the truth was being revealed. Krishna Swadhamo Pagate. That means the Lord descended into Bhagavatam. So the moment we understand that, then we are always looking who will actually tell that. So these are the questions the sages of Naimisharina was asking Suta Goswami. Let me just give a synopsis of this and then continue our discussion. The sages of Naimisharanya were very selfless. They did yajna for 1,000 years. So the moment they did yajna for 1,000 years, after doing that, still they were doing it on a selfless plane so that this is beneficial to everyone in this world. They did not do for themselves. Generally, sadhaka, when he comes to the process, he does everything for himself. He chants Hare Krishna for himself. He does everything for himself. But here, these personalities were not doing for themselves. Because there's a beautiful lesson which we are trying to draw out of this. They were selfless, actually, very selfless. They say, we did yajna for 1,000 years, our face became black, but our heart was not transformed. Please understand. And the same yajna which was done in Treta Yuga, that was the Yuga Dharma at that time. Treta Yuga is the time where Lord Ramachandra descended. That was there. But now, as they did in the early stages of Kali Yuga, where the yajnas, one can do yajna, but they do not give that much benefit. Because the Kali Yuga is different. Because the Yuga Dharma is also different. Here the interesting aspect which they express is, even though we did tapasya for 1,000 years, still we did austerities. Tapo divyam putrakayana sattva. They were doing in a pure state, complete goodness. because there's no tinge of any mix, but still their heart was not satisfied. An interesting aspect is they expressed that very clearly. They were not thinking, oh, we did tapasya for 1,000 years, will people mock around us? Or will they ridicule us? Or will they put us down? They had no fears of like that. They just they just requested Shuta Goswami by presenting this. They simply requested. So this actually shows the the simplicity and transparent heart of these wonderful Vaishnavas. They were very transparent. They were not like one thing outside, one thing, and the other thing is inside. No, they're completely free. They're totally transparent in their dealings. So through the transparency, they actually invoked the mercy with Sutta Goswami. Sutta Goswami was immensely pleased by that. Because this is what a spiritual master will be very pleased. Because what are they trying to do? They're trying to give the truth. And if the disciple is very transparent in his dealings and is ready to follow the instructions to the best of his ability, to the place of time, place, and to time, place, and circumstances, is trying to do his best. Krishna would see that actually. Krishna would never see anything else other than that. His intention is always to pull his son, his child, back to his abode. He will give ways and means for doing that. So this is an expression of their very pure, serene state of consciousness. Now, through that expression, just see here, they're doing tapasya, they're doing austerities. But the tapasya, when the tapasya is not yielding the results, then they immediately turn. They turned. They turned towards this pure soul. Then they inquired. So we need to understand in this scenario, it's completely on a selfless plane. They're completely doing it for the pleasure of others, for the damsels for the people of Kali Yuga. But still, when the heart is not responding correctly, they're submitting themselves. You see, acharyas, when they come into this world, they actually present us. They present us the way in which we need to respond, in which we need to react. So that way, when we see, dear devotees, then it not just gives us a motivation or an inspiration, but that will actually give us the transformation. Because the Kali Yuga is Kalad Dhosha Nidhe Rajan Astikya Komangan. It's been said the age of Kali is an age of quarrel and hypocrisy. That means we say something or do something else. It's easy to fight with others because that is the nature of this Kali Yuga. This is the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. So that Kali, in that Kali Yuga, when people are very transparent with their dealings and then very open-hearted, that is actually the consciousness of the previous yugas, not in this yuga. Because in this yuga, the dharma is standing only on one leg, which is truth, and abiding to the truth. And whoever follows and whoever abides to the truth, all the other limbs will also be manifested in this age of Kali. Tapa, Saucham, Daya, Satyam. When That truth, that is the only one thing which is available in this age of Kali. When that is taken care, then the other limbs are also manifested. That means tapasya will come, saucham will come, and also daya will come. With what? With the truth. Truth of what? Hearing from the acharyas, understanding them, and applying them. We were discussing yesterday about this. That how important it is if the parents and the children do take up the process very sincerely with this transparency and open heart, then it is beneficial. They are so much satisfied with that small endeavor. They're not doing anything else other than that, but that doing is very transformative. Hope you're understanding, because it is when the transparency comes into one's consciousness, then he's a different person actually. It's totally different shit. Few days back we were discussing about this. The same heart, when there's a problem, immediately Vyasdev invoked Narada Muni. So the moment Narada Muni was being called, he comes and then he conveys that this is where the problem is. And then immediately he worked on it. We see another example where Indra was about to kill Hiranyakashipu's wife, because Hiranyakashipu would go to the forest, and then Hayadu, his wife, was pregnant, and Prahlad Maharaj was there in her womb. And then Indra and his party was about to kill Hayadu. But at that moment, Narada Muni immediately comes. And then he says, no, please don't kill. If you see here, Indra immediately accepted. The sages of Namasharanya, they immediately accepted. Vyasdev immediately accepted. Indra, they immediately accepted. That means what are they doing? They're actually following the instructions. That means they're very transparent. This one should establish in this age of Kali. We have our rounds to do. We're chanting, we're hearing. And then through that process of hearing, when we abide to the instructions and then follow, then that is the establishment of truth in our heart. When that is established, other limbs do manifest. Very important. This is actually secret, because if we understand the science of devotional service is so profound that nothing can replace it. Very profound. No one or nothing can be replaced with that. Now we see in this material world, there's so many things which are replaced. For example, the same office, one person will be CEO in 1 year, and then after 10 years or 15, 20 years, the CEO is being changed. That means whatever you do, the age of Kali is always changing. It doesn't remain always like that. But if you see, the truth is always, it doesn't change. Because the truth is none different than the Lord. So we are trying to understand how this truth, which we've been given by the disciplic succession, by the mercy of our Guru Parampara, evam parampara praptam imam rajarsayo viduhu, where Arjuna would ask Krishna, my dear Lord, what is this? You're telling me the truth? Can you explain more about this? Then Krishna says to Arjuna, oh my dear Arjuna, this truth I'm not giving now. This truth is descended since eternity. I spoke this truth first time to Sun God. It was millions of years back. Same Lord has spoken Gita to not just Arjuna, to Sun God also before. Just see the truth is as is, protected. And then slowly that truth came to us. The mercy of Srila Prabhupada and his followers. They're very special. So that truth, when we hear with utmost attention, then there is a great scope and chance of advancing in the science of Krishna consciousness. One should somehow develop that taste, develop that taste to hear Krishna Katha, and then try to abide, try to follow, be transparent. Should be very open heart actually. It's a beautiful quality of the sages of Naiva teaching us. Arjuna also showed us. In the first chapter of Gita, Arjuna was actually expressing different reasons of not to fight. That was the attachment which we had. But if you see, attachment is only coming in the life of Arjuna because in that there is no Krishna. If you see in all the reasons and logics which Arjuna is presenting in front of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in that there is no specific reason. There is no presence of the Lord there. That means, please understand this, dear devotees. This is applicable for everyone. When we are trying to do an action through an attachment, we need to see whether that attachment is connected to Krishna or not. If that attachment is not connected to the Lord, that attachment will give us bewilderment. What's happening? That attachment is giving what? It keeps us bewildered. Through that attachment, one cannot do, he cannot lead to attention. That means he cannot be attentive because he has attachment. And that attachment is in separation of the Lord. That means there is no Krishna in it. So that was the core reasons why he was completely bewildered. The Lord is trying to show to the sages of Naimisharanya that this is not the authorized thing in this age of Kali. That's why even though they did on a selfless plane, even though they did it for 1,000 years, they did it for 1,000 years, but still somehow they were not, because that's the arrangement of the Lord. They were not getting that satisfaction. Because these are all the indications showing us again and again that how much this process of Shravana and Kirtana is very important. Hearing and then chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is so authorized and genuine process in this age of Kali, which Lord Chaitanya propagated. Lord Chaitanya actually is requesting all of us to cultivate a consciousness of transparency, free from duplicity. No duplicitous nature. Completely transparent. That is what Arjuna showed also. Even though he had that attachment, which is in separation of the Lord, which took him to a state of bewilderment, And through that bewilderment, that lead to improper attention. That means he was not attentive. Then he's completely perplexed. And then these are all the signs and indications for Arjuna taking up to the process of submitting to Krishna. And when Arjuna did this, all the Devi Devatas, they were so happy. They were showering. They're so happy because now Arjuna is actually submitting himself to Krishna. Krishna as a spiritual master, then he guides him. And another important aspect here, through that submission, Arjuna is surrendering to the law. And not only that, he says, I'm completely bewildered. You are the only shelter for me. That means Arjuna doesn't have anything else other than the Lord. Yesterday we were discussing about this because how important is this? If all the doors are closed and then we have only one opening, and then through that opening, there's only the mercy of the Lord. That means only He and His representative can help us. That is the only thing which is available, because everything else is diminished. Just like a person who is at the fag end of his life. He tried so many things. Nothing is working for him. Tried so much. But there's no scope of continuing one's life. Then he tells everyone that yes, I tried so many things. Now it's the time. I have to leave. No. No, please excuse me. I'm going to leave. This only devotee can tell. No one else can tell. Because devotee is understanding that, my dear Lord, you are the only go-to shelter for me. There's nothing else in this world. You know, that's a great protection. And then Lord personally would take care of his devotee. Just like a lady who is going in the forest with a log of wood on her head. And then the sun is scorching. Is very hard. She's just walking in the forest because she has to go to the village. It's a very simple lady. You know what people, who carry the log of wood, what kind of complications they have in their life? No, they are not complex. They're very simple. And that lady, she has heard from a sadhu that if you are in a difficult state, call out Krishna, he will come. What did she heard? She heard that if you are in a difficult state, call out the Lord. He will come and then he will help you. And then she was just thinking, because it's very difficult for her to walk. And then she calls the Lord. And then the Lord comes. Krishna, he comes. When the lady, through that simplicity, calling out the Lord, my dear Lord, please come and help. Hare Krishna, please help me. And then he came. And then he asked, what do you want? And then she says, my dear Lord, I've heard from this sadhu that if you are in a difficult state, you call out the Lord and then he comes. No, you came. Thank you so much. I have a problem. And Lord says, what's your problem? You know what my problem is? This log, the wooden log is very heavy here on my head. Can you please put this on the floor? And then the Lord immediately would do that. And then she says, my dear Lord, now I'm going to rest for some time under this tree. And then once I'm ready, then I'll again get up. And then I'm going to ask you to put the log back on my head. Now, it's an interesting thing here. On one side, we see the heart of the lady is very simple. She's not asking anything else to the Lord, from the Lord. And you know what? Why Lord came? The Lord manifested in front of the lady because she was very, very, very simple. Very transparent at her heart. Very, very simple. Simplicity is required in the process of pure devotional service. So that simplicity which she carried, Krishna is very pleased with that. Please try to understand. It's not just a matter of putting log. It's not that. There's more to this. The more is Lord is pleased with these things. Now Acharyas do tell us that she could have asked the Lord that can you please take me to the spiritual world? That Lord would have taken her right away because she has all the qualifications of going back home, back to Godhead. She was very submissive to the words of the sadhus. She was very respectful to the spiritual master. She was very sincere in following the teachings. And she is very transparent. That means whatever that sadhu says, she is ready to do all of those things. Because of what? What is her attitude? She's very simple. It's not complex. That's why devotion becomes simple if we are simple. This is very simple science, dear devotees. But the thing is, the simplicity will be transformed into complexity through our attachments. That attachment, when it is not fulfilled, dvesha comes, aversions. For that heart, Lord doesn't manifest. He says there is some more time is required. This is what he told, right? He told that Brahmana that that Narada Muni he would request. But this Brahmana is very complex at his heart. And then the Lord says, for this Brahmana, he will take few lifetimes. Few lifetimes of what? Few lifetimes for going back home, back to Godhead. Not in this life. But for that cobbler who is very simple, is very honest in his dealings, and then for him, he will come in this very lifetime. This we need to understand, dear devotees. It's very, very, very important. The life in Krishna consciousness, if we keep it very simple, we make immense progress. If there is a doubt, we should immediately ask the spiritual master. Immediately ask our superiors, please, can you please dissipate this doubt? Please remove this. Because if this doubt is removed, I can be much simpler. Because doubts are like demons. What do? They pull us and stray us away from the real thing. Please always aspire for this nature of simplicity. Because the devotee of Jagannath is very interesting actually. This Mataji, she does only khichdi, knowing that Jagannath likes that. She does khichdi at her home. So, Lord, even though He can honor so many great preparations, but He loves that Mataji's khichdi because she does it with a lot of devotion. She's very simple. And she doesn't add so many things also in that khichdi. But the way she does it, that is what Lord is pleased with that. Now we might do so many preparations, but at times we feel that, oh, well, just couple of preparations are enough. One preparation is enough. Because from where that is coming is the heart of simplicity. The Lord is pleased with that. And then Lord is always pleased with that Mataji making that khichdi. It's very simple but profound. If you see the damsels of Vrajavasis, the Vrindavan, the people of Vrindavan, the devotees, the exalted Vaishnavas of Vrindavan, what are they? All the gopis, all the gopas, elderly gopis, they're very simple at their heart. They also do get problems, but they always take shelter of the Lord. That's like another manifestation from Arjuna. He also received problems. I think that's the greatest problem which he had. But what he did, he turned his face. He turned himself to the Lord. This attitude and consciousness we need to develop. Because when Vaishnava qualities do come into our life, then it's a different thing actually. The way you see this world is totally different. Because at that moment, we don't see through our vision, we see through their vision. And then that gives you so much immense pleasure and happiness. Where you do not see anything else other than the science of devotions or other than the process of Krishna consciousness. Just like that Mataji who's holding the wooden log on her head, she has no other business other than doing that. She's not very complex. She's simple. And then the Lord is pleased with that. Just like there is another child, I'll tell this and conclude. Just like there is a beautiful child who actually goes to the school. It's a very simple child. They do not have so many riches in their life. He doesn't have a father, he only has a mother. And then that mother, she makes some some business by grinding the grains or something like that. And then that's all their life is. They do not have much money. And then this child would go to the school, and then on that day, the teacher would say, everyone tomorrow should bring something. Everyone tomorrow should bring something. And then a lot of people, they have wealth, this, that, so many other things. Through that wealth, this, so many other things, they can choose their choices. Because through their pious activities, they have money. So they can select whatever they want. Okay. All the children would bring. But this child couldn't bring anything. But he has a friend. That friend is Dinabandhu. What is Dinabandhu? He's a friend of the most fallen people. It's called as Dinabandhu. Lord Jagannath Ji, Krishna, he's a Dinabandhu. Then he calls him, Dinabandhu, can you please help? Actually, Dinabandhu would send him every day to the school. The Dinabandhu is his friend, the child's friend. And then the Lord, he calls him again, and then he says, Lord says, yes, my dear child, what do you want? Then he says, this is what I want. Everyone are getting something, are taking something to the school. I cannot take anything. Can you please help, my dear Lord? Doesn't even know his Lord. Can you please help, Dinabandhu? Then the Lord will give him a cup which has yogurt in it. Then he says, you take this. And then he gives, it's a very small cup. And then he gives to this teacher, and the teacher says, what's this? This is a small cup. For whom it is sufficient. And then somehow it falls away from his hand. But the yogurt, even though it falls on the ground, still the yogurt is full. So it's a transcendental part given by the Lord. And then they were shocked. And then he pours again. Again it is full. He pours again. Again it is full. Babre, there's a special pot. Then they said, who gave you this? This my friend gave. So they were all amazed. So the Lord is very special, dear devotees. The special person in one's life. All he's asking from us is to become very simple and transparent. Just like the Vrijvasis are very simple at their heart. You should cultivate that. Just like our acharyas are very, very simple. Because wherever we turn within this science of Krishna consciousness, when you see or when you are trying to take inspiration from the spiritual master, from the acharyas, when we do that, then the process becomes very, very simple process. It's a natural process. You can practice this, it with ease. We don't need complexities. We don't need to prepare. We don't need to prepare for doing something. This is a greatness. We need some heart. We don't have to prepare something. For example, mother has beautiful heart because what is she trying to do? She's trying to make a preparation for her children. And for doing that, she goes to the kitchen and then she makes nice preparations and then submits and then offers it to Jagannath. And then she would feed the children. She doesn't need to write big signs for that. She doesn't need to go and then like prove herself that yes, I'm qualified for doing this. Krishna is not asking us to prove anywhere, dear devotees. Krishna is telling, oh, if you clear this exam, then only you can come to me. No. Krishna is asking few simple things to do. So through Guru Sadhu Shastra, we learn that. And then those simple things we try to manifest in our life. We try to practice them. This is called as training. It's very simple. The science is simple. And when we take like that, you get the acceptance from the Lord. Just like if you go to a visa office, consulate office for the first time before you came to US, first time if one goes, then if the person is very open and then he's sharing everything. And whatever is there in the certificates and whatever he's speaking, if they both match, if the person on the other side, the consulate office, if he understands that he's very transparent, he'll just stamp it. Because they don't look for this, that, so many other things. If you're simple, what is required for a visit visa? Very simple thing, right? And if he's very straightforward, then they would just accept and then move forward. This simple essence. If one understands, his life is perfected. Then he doesn't go, or he doesn't offend others or trying to put them down. Those things do not come, because he's what? He's very simple. Through this simplicity, one can do tapasya. Tapo divyam putrakayena sattva. Hare Krishna. So this is what our acharyas wanted to give. Would like to stop here. Um, anyone has any questions? Would like to add anything?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, and Pranam August Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Subal Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for your wonderful Krishna Katha. Prabhuji, so in that case where, the simple lady, she was trying to, call Krishna for just lifting the bundle. But I also heard, Prabhuji, but of course, she is doing for, that. But at that time, I have also heard that in that case, if she was a pure devotee, maybe she would have requested for liberation from this janma mrityu jara vyadhi. In that way also we can think, Prabhuji, or
Actually, pure devotee, pure devotee is far more beyond than that. So his motive is, actually, that is also our acharyas do tell in those lines about that. That if she was little more intelligent, then she wouldn't have just asked Lord to put the log back on the head, but rather she would have asked, "Can you please take me to the spiritual world?" Yes, that is another way of seeing it. Yes, that is also right. But here we are trying to see how how the Lord would approach. What are the nuances, and what are the setup? What are the qualities one should develop in one's consciousness? That quality is simplicity. Yes, that simplicity eventually will give much more intelligence. Again, when the lady will take the association of the sadhu, she will understand that, and then she will request that also. But what are we trying to discuss here is the platform of understanding the truth. The platform of understanding the truth is this. If you are simple, Krishna will give everything actually. Now the same Lord, he gives intelligence to that person, so that person will actually eventually go back to God. That desire, he cultivates that. Yes, that the other way of seeing that is what you said is is also absolute, because eventually everyone has to strive for that, of going home back to God. Yes. So we can see from that perspective also. That means when one is simple, one's intelligence will, when one takes right association, his intelligence will be improved. And then he will actually strive for that. That comes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Prabhuji. My takeaway and struggle and compare as well, trying to get out of it. Um, Transparency versus duplicity. Though, when a senior devotee comes, when we are doing a service versus being at home, that familiarity, that's a duplistic nature, right? We should be at, at the same level. And as per your message, if we do the service and on a soul level, that whoever I'm dealing with at home or at a service, uh, with respect to Krishna, then it would be transparent. It wouldn't be duplicity anymore. For that, we have to hear cautiously. Uh, so this is my takeaway, Prabhu. Even kids, Prabhuji, when they come in contact at home, they would be in one consciousness. They would speak very humble, everything as if they are listening. And when they get to see their friends, automatically changes, unconsciously changes. So this is also duplicity, right, Prabhuji? So yeah, solution also, if I have to always check my consciousness whether I'm being in a soul level, connecting to Krishna or connecting to myself. But please correct me, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Actually, actually, when we become free from that nature, only a person who is simple doesn't have any lot of expectations. That person will be free from duplicity. Because at every moment we should see our acharyas, how they are very simple with their life. Actually, they are satisfied whatever they have. That we should also cultivate. We shouldn't go for big things of this world. A sadhaka should always be like a sadhaka, should always be simple. A simple life can actually bring so many things, give us so many things. Because if the mind is not simple, then we cannot put attention towards it. That means we cannot focus. But if you are very simple, then so many things can be done. Very important. Please understand this. The more when one becomes simple, the more he aspires for that. That simplicity should always be cultivated. So yes, we do see the nature of being duplicitous in our consciousness and in the consciousness of our children. So we should slowly cultivate them, give them the right training through our example. And then when we become free from duplicitous nature, it's not difficult. So the moment we begin doing everything for the pleasure of the Lord, for the pleasure of our acharyas, then we'll become simple. We don't become complex, become simple. And that actually we need to practice. We need to know that the Lord, if you see all the examples which we discussed today, they're all very simple at their heart. The woman who's carrying the log, she's very simple. You know, when if one sees the Lord, Dhruva Maharaj were actually complex because he wanted that kingdom. For that, he went to the Lord. But the moment he saw the Lord, he says, everything is like a broken pieces of glasses to me. That's his realization. No, I don't need anything else, my dear Lord. I just want to see your smile. I just want to take your darshan. I don't need anything else. Initially, he was not simple. But the moment he saw the Lord, the touch of the Lord transformed his heart, completely transformed his consciousness. And he left. Prabhupada had questions when he met his spiritual master. But the moment his heart was addressed, he was just serving him. This we need to address. We need to see this. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much. I will stop here. If I spoke anything wrong, please excuse me. Let us all offer our humble obeisances unto all Vaishnava devotees for the Lord with just like desires who can fulfill the desires of everyone. Full of compassion for the fallen conditions. Pancha kalpatarubhyasya kripasindhubhyavcha patitanam bhavanebhyam vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada.